Hi everyone, it's me, Denny Daniel, and I'm here with
Camille
and Olivier.
And they came all the way from all over the world, actually, France and Japan, which is amazing. I came all the way from New York for this. So now they've gone through the entire museum, including we added a few of the French collection to the museum, which is great, and even Napoleon stuff. So now they're going to open up one of these boxes, and I've got, for them, the heaviest boxes in the house. And I do this like a 42nd Street shell game. Now in Times Square, 42nd Street, they used to have these shell games, they may still have them, where a guy showed up with 3 shells, and there was a quarter under one of them, and he would mix them up like red, and then you had to guess which one had the quarter, and if you guessed which one had the quarter, you won something. Okay. The only difference here is I don't have 3 shells, there isn't a quarter under any of these boxes, and you win nothing. Oh man, so there's nothing the same, except for this. I am going to, mix them up. So this is me confusing you by mixing up the boxes. Are you guys confused?
Very confused.
Good, because otherwise I would have to do this all day long.
All right.
Okay, so which box do you want to open?
This one.
That one? And which one do you want to open?
I'll open this one.
That one? You didn't know. You weren't sure. Okay, so there's your scissor, and there's your scissor. Just make sure whatever you do, not to cut each other, not to cut yourselves, and not to cut me.
Or try.
But if you do cut me, yourselves, or the guy who's drilling into my wall, which is obviously our grandma, I do have this over about 200-year-old bleeder that I'll cure you with quack medicine. And this would put 12 more cuts into you.
12 what?
12 more cuts, it was a bleeder.
Yeah, I pass on that.
Yeah.
You pass on that? Okay, good. Then don't cut each other, because otherwise I have to cure you with that.
This is quite thick, this tape.
I know, you've got a serious box
I
there.
have a serious... Yeah, he was
Yeah, they weren't
serious
kidding when they did that one. You may have to cut each other.
It's not cutting through the tape. Okay, I think I have to actually cut it like this. It's really...
Yeah, you may have to.
Here we go.
Don't cut her.
Vintage Dufaycolor printer.
Oh my lord, that's the Dufaycolor. This is an amazing piece. This is early color. But this is probably one of the rarest items I own. And I lecture at NYU about the history of photography, and that's going. This is early color systems. Dufaycolor was, they used the RGB using a special lens. And this is apparently the printer for those machines. So lift up the printer, I'll get the box out of your way. And there's some other things sitting in here, which is really important too. Wow, I didn't even know that was in there. What is this? Color separation guides. Wow, that's really cool. It actually came with the guides on how to do this. Holy moly, are you like a photographer or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a really cool thing for you to open. This is, oh my god, this is like the Holy Grail. That is really cool. So these are the color guides, Eastman color patches, and register marks, the grayscale. That is impressive. This is just one of the, I've got the Dufaycolor lens. So you put this lens on your black and white camera, and it turns your black and white camera into a color camera. And this is the machine that you would use to do the printing of this. And this, I believe, opens, if I recall. Yes.
What's inside?
Your grandma! Oh, no, sorry. There's like a mirror and everything, so it's probably reflecting the image onto the paper you probably put the print. But this is basically a color printer. That's your color printer for back then.
From when?
Similar, it's probably around 100 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, that is just one of the most coolest items in the museum. This, you'll be very proud of this someday when we have a museum. That'll be behind glass. It's probably the only one I'll ever see. So I'm very, very happy with that. Wow, that's a very... Wow, you really earned your keep on
No,
this.
you're the second one to open now.
No.
This has got to be cool, because look at all the effort you have to go through.
Okay.
So I'll take the scissors from you. There you go.
Wait, is this...
So pull that out.
Okay.
And I'll get rid of the box for you.
Oh, this is
is
plague.
some.
Oh my God! This is one of the coolest items. I can't believe it's in this giant box.
Oh, it's the Pony Express?
Yeah, that's a Pony Express
Really?
sign. Now, it's obviously not from the era of the Pony Express, it's later, but it's commemorating the highway, so this is probably around a 100-year-old road sign from the Pony Express. This was on the Pony Express, the Memorial Highway for the Pony Express, so that highway is probably on the route. So the Pony Express it was actually very short, about 1860 to 1861. It was hardly like a year or two. And it basically was because the railroad only made it to, I believe, as far as the middle of the country, like Missouri. And so from Missouri to California, there was no service. So these guys decided the best thing to do is to create a business that services the rest of the country. So if you want to send a letter out there. So they hired these amazing gunslingers, really good shots, because it was dangerous to do this work. So they hired these great guys who rode horses well and shot well because they were, bandits, Indians, the desert and all the rough terrain and all that. So people like Wild Buffalo Bill were one of the Pony Express riders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was actually one of the Pony Express riders. So this is such an iconic piece of U.S. history. And by the way, the Pony Express was called the Pony Express, but there were many Pony Expresses. There were other organizations that were doing this because obviously they had competition. So we actually have a mailbag from one of the Pony Expresses.
Okay.
If it's not the original Pony Express, you would never be able to know which is which because it was so short-lived and all that. But it's actually kind of cool. We have one of the mailbags, but now this is going to be the star of the Pony Express show. That is just, I'm going to have that hanging there and everyone's going to go crazy. So both of you opened up complete stars of the photography show and the Pony Express show. So, and people tend to open things that are ironic to their personality in some way, and I'm wondering how the Pony Express relates to you. I'm not
I like
sure.
horses.
You like horses? What do you do for a living?
I'm a musician.
You're a musician? I'm not sure the Pony Express
Yeah, I
works
know.
with being a musician. It's kind of a magical musical thing, maybe. I don't know. But it is. You came here all the way from Japan, obviously, on a horse.
Obviously.
Obviously,
Yeah,
yes.
clearly you
Across
were
the
sent
ocean.
here
That's how you do
across
it.
the ocean
Across-
with your horse.
Yes.
That's a very good horse.
Horses can,
I need to
swim.
borrow that
Yeah.
horse, the hover horse.
Exactly.
Like the hovercraft, but the hover horse. That was the earlier version of the hovercraft that went to France and England. You remember the hovercraft? Yeah, so that's the earlier version, the hover horse. I like that. Impressive.
Very
So
cool.
that's very cool.
Very
Both
cool.
cool items. Well, let's say goodbye to the world. Bye, world.
Bye.